After years of military service, I came home for Christmas to surprise my wife. Instead, I found a note saying she loved someone else. I hadn't seen snow in 6 years. Not real snow. Not the kind that blankets the small town of Aspen Hill, turning old porches into something out of a postcard. The kind of snow that makes a man believe he can start over. I was stationed in the Middle East for most of my career. Recon. Covert stuff. The kind of service you can't really talk about, not even with your wife. So when my commanding officer granted my request for early December leave, I decided to keep it a secret. I wanted it to be a surprise. I imagined the look on Ashley's face, how she'd jump into my arms at the front door, maybe crying, maybe laughing, definitely hugging me so hard it hurt. I took the red-eye to Denver, rented a Jeep, and made the 4-hour drive into the mountains. Everything looked the same. Her car was in the driveway, lights on in the house, a wreath on the door I didn't recognize, probably something she picked up from that new craft store downtown. My heart pounded as I stepped onto the porch. I didn't knock. I wanted it to be cinematic, like a homecoming scene from a war movie. Instead, when I opened the door, the silence was deafening. No music, no smell of gingerbread or pine, just the faint hum of the heater. "Hello," I called. No answer. There were Christmas lights in the living room, but they were unplugged. A single box sat under the tree. On the coffee table, next to her favorite mug and a half-burnt candle, lay a folded note with my name on it. I opened it with shaking hands. "James, I don't know how to say this, so I'll just do it. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, but I can't lie anymore. I'm in love with someone else. It wasn't planned, it just happened. His name is Eric. He understands me in a way I didn't even know I needed. You were gone for so long. I changed. Please don't hate me. I didn't know how to tell you. Ashley." I read it twice before I even moved. My backpack slipped off my shoulder and hit the floor with a loud thud. I stood there, surrounded by fake snow on window panes and plastic mistletoe, feeling like a fool. I sat on the couch, still in my uniform, for what felt like hours. Eric. I didn't know an Eric. But Aspen Hill wasn't big. And Ashley. She wasn't the type to go looking far. By midnight, I found her email still logged in on the family laptop in the kitchen. She must have forgotten to clear it. Maybe she didn't expect I'd be back before Christmas. Maybe she thought I'd just fade away. But I wasn't gone. Not yet. There were threads of emails and hotel receipts. Pictures. One photo in particular. Ashley, laughing on the deck of a lakeside cabin. I recognized it. It was the same cabin we'd rented during our first anniversary. She'd taken him there. I should have been angry. But what I felt was colder. Calculated. She took from me something I bled for. Waited for. Fought for. I'd learned many things in the service. How to observe. How to disappear. How to gather intel without anyone knowing. Ashley thought the war made me distant. But she never understood what the war made me. And now I was home. Not for Christmas. For closure. And maybe something more. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat on the couch until the sun crept through the frosted windows, bathing the room in gold, like it could melt the betrayal off the walls. The coffee Ashley brewed still sat cold in the pot. She'd left in a hurry. Probably thought she had time. Probably thought I'd be in Iraq another 2 weeks. That's the thing about secrets. They rot slowly until you come home early and catch the stench. I had no plan. Not yet. But instinct, the kind drilled into me through years of missions, kicked in. I wasn't about to punch a wall or scream into the void. No, I'd seen men lose everything. Arms, legs, brothers, and keep their heads straight. If I'd learned anything in the military, it was this. You don't react. You act. So I started tracking. Her phone bill showed frequent texts to a 303 number. I traced the name to Eric Dalton. Used to be a mechanic at Qley's Auto Body. He was older than Ashley by a few years. Recently divorced. A daughter from his first marriage. A man who knew how to fix things. Fitting, since he broke mine. I visited the cabin, the one from the photo. Took the old road through the pine forest. Snow still clung to the branches like frosting. It was empty, but the key was still under the rock like it always had been. She hadn't even thought to change it. Inside, I found traces, a forgotten wine glass, a red scarf I didn't recognize, cologne that wasn't mine. I sat on the bed we used to share and studied the space like a crime scene. Not because I was angry, because I wanted to understand the battlefield. That's what it was now. A few days later, I finally saw them. Together. Ashley in a thick coat and Eric in jeans and boots, laughing as they walked out of Granger's cafe like teenagers. I watched from the alley across the street, hands buried in my jacket, eyes locked like crosshairs. They kissed before they parted. That was the moment I knew. She didn't feel guilt. She felt freedom. And that made my decision easier. I wasn't going to scream at her. I wasn't going to demand answers or closure. I was going to make her feel what it was like to lose everything slowly, not through violence, but through precision, through silence. The next day, I visited my lawyer. Turns out, Ashley had no idea I'd been smart with our finances. The house, in my name. The retirement fund, mostly mine. Her car, leased under my military benefits. She'd been living in comfort because I planned for both of us. But now it would be just me. I froze the joint bank account, not out of revenge, but out of principle. She'd withdrawn over $8,000 in 2 months. Spa treatments, jewelry, one charge at a luxury boutique called Everell, listed the same day as one of the hotel receipts. I sent her a text that night. Hey, I'm home. We need to talk. No response. Just 3 dots, then nothing. But I knew she'd read it. And I knew it scared her. The next morning, I left the house. I didn't need to see her yet. I just wanted her to come home and feel the silence. No car. No access to the bank. No husband. Just the consequences of choices she thought no one would ever uncover. I went back to the cabin that night. Lit the fireplace. Sat in the dark with a bottle of bourbon and the cold. She made me a ghost long before I came home. So now I'd become one. But ghosts, they don't forget. I waited 4 more days before I saw her again. Ashley showed up at the cabin just past dusk. Her car crept down the snow-covered trail like it had when we came here the first time, 6 years ago. Except now, instead of love in her eyes, there was panic. I'd left breadcrumbs. The photo frame from our wedding, cracked slightly in the corner, placed on the porch. A single red scarf, the one she left here with Eric, draped over the chair on the deck. And finally, the text. You brought him here. You broke us here. So this is where it ends. She parked, hesitated a moment, then stepped out into the cold. Her face was pale. She was bundled up, but she still shivered. Maybe from fear. Maybe from guilt finally setting in. I stood at the doorway, arms crossed. I didn't say a word. James, she started, her voice trembling. You're scaring me. I let the silence hang. Then, not nearly as much as you scared me when I walked into our house and found that note instead of you. She tried to speak again, but I held up a hand. You brought him to our place, Ashley. The cabin where I first told you I wanted kids someday. The place I built plans around. You shattered all that. And for what? A guy who fixes cars and tells you what you want to hear. Her eyes welled up. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. But it did. I cut in. And now, I don't care why. I stepped aside and motioned for her to come in. Inside, everything looked exactly the same. Eerily preserved, like a museum to a marriage that no longer existed. On the table was a manila envelope. She glanced at it, confused. What's that? Your exit plan, I said. I'm filing for divorce. I've already moved most of my military benefits into private accounts. You'll find what's legally yours inside. I'm not taking more than I deserve, but I'm not giving you comfort you didn't earn either. She stared at me, shocked. Maybe she thought I'd scream. Maybe she expected tears. But I had none left. And Eric? I asked. Still worth it? She looked down, ashamed. That's when I hit her with the last blow, the one she never saw coming. I spoke to his ex-wife. She looked up, her eyes wide. She reached out after seeing your little lakeside photos. Turns out, he has a bit of a pattern. Charms vulnerable women, drains their accounts, then ghosts. You weren't the first, Ash. And from the looks of it, you're already on the way to being the next. Ashley's mouth opened slightly, like she'd forgotten how to breathe. I warned you, I said, grabbing my coat. But hey, maybe you two do deserve each other. I walked out into the snow, not bothering to look back. It's been 2 years. I bought a small ranch in Montana. Quiet, peaceful. I fish, I read, I build things with my hands, things that last. Sometimes I get letters from her. Never angry, just regretful. I don't respond. I owe her silence more than words. Last I heard, Eric skipped town. Took her savings with him. She had to sell the house. The same one she thought she'd get in the divorce. Karma doesn't knock loud. It just waits until the room goes quiet. As for me, I'm finally free. Not just from her, but from the version of myself who thought love meant sacrifice without limits. Turns out, loyalty isn't weakness. But trusting the wrong person with it? That's the real battlefield. And this time, I won. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.